So the 412 Texans did not consult franchise quarterback Deshaun Watson when hiring new general manager Nick Caserio, even though Watson was told that he would have input in this decision. Watson also wasn't consulted last year either in the trade of wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. So he took to social media this week to voice his disappointment about the Texans' lack of interest in his opinion. This adds fire to the speculation that Watson is going to demand a trade, even though the management has said that they plan to keep the quarterback. So, Chris, I can understand a quarterback lobbying for a wide receiver, but do quarterbacks have power in determining management?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I agree with you that him not being notified before DeAndre Hopkins got traded, that there's something wrong with that culturally, that Bill O'Brien didn't approach him and say, yeah, we're going to trade your biggest target. And the Texans will go from being a competitive team to what happened. They went 4-12 this year. They were bad. They were just really, really bad. And you can put a lot of that on the fact that they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins and that they did have a really bad management team. I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson necessarily should have anything to do with the general manager search. A head coach, maybe, and they still have a head coach opening, and I don't know if it will look different for them. I guess the fact that they told him that he would have a part in the GM search, I don't know why they told him that, if that wasn't going to be true. So in that sense, they're not being honest, and I guess that's coming from ownership because there's no GM in the building until now. If he demands a trade, well, first of all, I think the Texans are a very attractive place to go for a head coaching job if you're going to inherit Deshaun Watson as your franchise quarterback. Now, that entire calculus is different if he wants to leave. Then it becomes a terrible job, a job that I don't want at all. But I guess if I have one spin to take away, if Deshaun Watson is on the market, Joe Douglas better be calling this new GM over in Houston and inquiring because he's a great quarterback in my view. And the Jets should have taken him in the draft when they had the chance. Maybe this is an opportunity to go get a quarterback.
With you there, Chris. Get him to the Jets. Do whatever is necessary to revive this dormant quarterback slot that the Jets have had for years.
Yep.
But besides the point, Deshaun Watson, and I think this is emblematic of a larger problem that's going on in sports, should have no say in head coaching hires, GM hires, anything that has to do with the front office has nothing to do with the quarterback. Now, the fact he was lied to, if true, the fact he was lied to, I think is a major problem. You tell your franchise quarterback he's going to have a say in something, and then you don't consult him. That would be a scenario where if I'm Deshaun Watson, I would feel betrayed, and I would probably want out of Houston. But that doesn't take away the larger problem of you should not be promising him say in the hiring of a GM or the hiring of a head coach. The field play is a field play. He's a great quarterback. He should want a great roster. He should be telling the front office that. He should deal with what he's dealt with. But you don't get to decide the card you're dealt. You're not the GM, or else you'd be in that chair. So I just think it's a larger problem in sports where the NBA's become very problematic in this regard. Players just decide they're not happy because they're not in the loop in an organization. And then one day they up and leave. Yeah, they say, trade me, and then they get traded. It's all up to the players. And you don't want to create this narrative in every sport where the quarterback is running the franchise. Head coaches shouldn't be running the franchise unless you're Bill Belichick. Why are we letting Deshaun Watson run the Texans? I have an issue with that.
And that was the origin of the problem for the Texans to begin with. Bill O'Brien was the head coach and the general manager, which made no sense because he's a bad head coach and he's also happens to be a bad general manager. I agree with you that there are all kinds of conflicts of interest if the quarterback has input over the GM. Unfortunately, the way it works, it's not the happiest scenario, but the GM is not supposed to be so personally tied to the players that they can, the idea is that there's a little bit of a disconnect. The head coach takes what the GM gives them. So I agree that it is absolutely bizarre that he was promised to have anything to do with that.
Chris, we were talking about the Oakland A's before. Remember Moneyball, where Billy Beane, who's Brad Pitt in that movie, basically says, I can't fly with the team. I don't want to be buddy-buddy with these guys. I got to be able to trade them, cut him, release him, do what I have to do to create the best product on the field. So all of a sudden, you provide Deshaun Watson, a player you should be able to trade or extend or cut or do whatever you need to with for the betterment of the organization. You give him that ability to hire, fire the GM, hire, fire the head coach. You basically make him the de facto GM at that point. How are his players supposed to react that are going to war with Deshaun Watson every day? And how is he supposed to assume that power? I just think, like you said, Chris, major conflict of interest. And I think the root of the problem is the story here.
Yeah, and I kind of agree too in that it's not even like it's Tom Brady with the Patriots or anything like that. Like someone who's been there for so long, and like I feel like he should have more of a say in that type of thing. But it's Deshaun Watson with the Texans. I mean, he's been there since like what, 2017? It hasn't really been all that long that he's like established himself as somebody who can make these decisions and who deserves to make these decisions. I mean, especially if he's just going to up and ask for a trade, why should he make the decision for your general manager? I mean, he might not even want to stay with you guys.
Personally, I love it. Get him to the Jets right now. Get a package going. Get discussions going. Joe Douglas, this is where opportunists step in and get the job done.
Yeah.
Need a quarterback. Don't worry about Trevor Lawrence. You lost out on him. You have the number 2 pick. Deshaun Watson is better than Justin Fields ever will be. Go make the trade. And let's put an end to this and stop discussing why the Texans are wrong and start discussing why the Jets are right. That's what I need.
I like that. I think it solves a lot of problems. And all of a sudden, we're going to be talking about the Jets like they're the Mets. They go out and get a quarterback. They have the number 2 pick, and all of a sudden, the entire energy is different. And I'm a Jets optimist, but I've fallen into that trap before. But in reality, if they went and got Deshaun Watson, and let's not get ahead of ourselves, it really would change everything.
It would change New York sports. We're talking about the Mets as a revived franchise. You got the Nets and the Knicks balling out. You got the Yankees. You got the Giants on the up and up. You would have, it would just be beautiful.
Let's not indulge.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen. He might just be like saying that, like, oh, now I'm going to ask for a trade. You know what I mean? But he might not actually want to do that.
We're going to indulge for a second because later in the show, we're going to get a harsh return to reality with the Jets head coaching search and interviewing Marvin Lewis. So we can be a little unrealistic for a second.
You don't like Marvin Lewis, huh?
Yeah, we'll get into that. I'm not a fan.
No, yeah. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm not sure that quarterbacks should decide general management. I don't think that they really should have anything to do with the front office. So we'll see how that all turns out.